In my effort of getting back into traditional art and expanding on my art in general, I have been really trying to do more dynamic pieces. So in this video, I'm expanding on a sketch that I originally did in my last sketchbook video, and I'm redrawing it completely so that I can color it with my Arrtx markers and see what I'm able to do when I add color to these types of pieces. In my time as an artist, and mind you, I'm almost 30 and I've been drawing since I was about 5 years old, I've never really done a dynamic piece that tells a story. I always draw characters very stagnant. They're just standing there, kind of like models or just like character design sheets. They're very boring. And I've noticed lately that my digital art itself has become extremely stagnant, and I feel as if I'm facing an art regression. In an effort to fight that, I've gotten back into traditional art and gone back to my roots. I've been drawing every single day for hours in my sketchbook, and my main goal right now is to complete my very first sketchbook so that I can also provide a sketchbook tour. Now, this video is probably going to be a lot longer than all of my other videos, and I honestly don't know what I'm going to fill this whole time with, so bear with me here if I end up rambling. I just really want to share the process with you because I honestly worked really hard on this piece, and I spent a lot of time working on blending and trying to figure out the best way that I wanted to incorporate color into it. I don't really play around with dynamic colors or dynamic pieces in general. As I said, a lot of my pieces are very stagnant and just feature the character kind of in like a character sheet formation, and not really doing a lot. And so this one, especially with it being traditional, was like a really big jump for me because I really don't go outside of my box. I'm very much the type of artist that likes to stay within the type of comfort pieces that I like to draw, which is a problem because you become stagnant as an artist when you don't expand on other types of art and you don't try to do other new things. And my problem is that I was just not willing to try new things. I wanted to try and draw a piece that told a story, and my character Eve is sheriff. She's a witch sheriff cowgirl, and she uses potions to ward off the bad guys and take care of her farm, and she takes both jobs very seriously. I realized after a while that my piece still wasn't telling a story. She was throwing her potions and it was creating flames and an explosion, but why was she throwing her potions? Who was she throwing the potions at? I figured that since she is sheriff in town, I wanted to show a story of her trying to defeat a bad guy. I don't have any lore for the bad guy, so please don't ask, but I figured that I would draw a male cowboy who is menacing looking and basically just make him look all menacing, you know? And I wanted to kind of have him be engulfed into the explosion, but like standing there all badass like, and I think I captured it well. But I knew that the hardest part of that was going to be figuring out how I was actually going to color that aspect of it. So after kind of working on other parts of the piece, I ended up deciding to take a moment and really think about how I wanted to even move forward with coloring the cowboy. I ended up doing a practice sketch on another sheet of paper and playing around with colors to test out how I wanted to color the cowboy and how I wanted to blend the colors. And I really feel like if I did not do this, I absolutely would have bombed the piece completely. My confidence in going into this part of the piece skyrocketed once I did the practice, and I really highly recommend doing a practice coloring on something like this when you are adventuring into new areas of your art. I ended up changing a few colors of it, but overall the method that I used was like the same and the same aspect of the piece, you know, of what I did with the test piece. Like I said, the test piece changed the game completely because I was so unsure of how I wanted to go into it, and I really was honestly scared to start on that part of the piece. I was really worried that it was going to be muddy or that I wasn't going to get the colors to blend right, because I knew I was going to be using a lot of black to contrast with the glow of the flames. And in general, like I said, I've never done that before. I'm not used to using dynamic coloring. I'm very, very boring when I color. And I feel like that's something that with my art, I need to just fix. I need to go out of my box. I need to expand, and I need to just start exploring. So with this sketchbook, that's what I've been doing. I've been really going outside of the box and just kind of exploring the possibilities of what I'm able to create, because lately I've been honestly making some really great art and I've been so proud of it, and I don't think I would have been able to do that had I just stuck with what I was doing before. My digital art has become incredibly boring, and I'm not proud of what I've been creating lately. I've become lazy. Some of my art has basically been unfinished, and I've been just posting it because I don't want to work on it anymore. And so with doing this, I'm forced to finish the piece because I don't want to leave an unfinished piece in my sketchbook, because my goal is to completely fill the sketchbook with art. The flames were very hard for me because I've never really drawn flames like this before, so the flames might not look right. You don't need to call me out on them. I tried my best. But, getting the light to shine with everything, mixing browns with greens and cyans, it was all just stuff that I've never done before, because I've always been too scared to do dynamic art like that. And it might not be that dynamic. And I realize that. Like, the piece might still be freaking boring. But for me, this is an outreach of my art. This is an expansion of what I'm able to create. And if anything, it just shows me that I'm able to create more dynamic pieces in the future using traditional art, and maybe even try it with my digital art. But, I honestly haven't drawn digitally in about 2 weeks. The most that I've done is work on thumbnails with Procreate. And, it's kind of been nice to not be attached to my iPad constantly, because I would sit on my couch and just draw all day and kind of just be glued to a screen, and I was getting migraines. I just feel like this is more of a healthier change for me right now, and I've been really enjoying it. And maybe I'll find a happy medium where I switch back and forth between digital and traditional. But right now, I've been just kind of enjoying the flow and working with traditional mostly. I did make a few mistakes with this piece. I ended up blotching the little heart tattoo on her chest because I didn't realize that ink did not dry yet. So I had to cover it with skin tone, which was not a successful covering. And I had to basically hope and pray that just didn't look awful. It covered okay in the end, but it needed about 2 coats of the skin tone to cover it all the way. Or mostly, because it still has like a little gray tone underneath the heart when I look at the piece, and it's kind of annoying. But overall, I really feel like I didn't have too many mistakes that I think I can call out on, at least painting wise. I know the anatomy isn't right. I know the pose is probably still stiff, but I'm very new to doing these types of poses, and I give myself a little bit of grace for that. At this point, I had been probably working on this piece for about 4 hours. I'm not sure really how I feel about the flames. I'm new to it. I draw boring flames usually, not very actiony ones and big plumey ones. So it's just one of those things that I have to accept. I'm not sure if I like them, but it is what it is, I wasn't really sure how I wanted to do the ground because I didn't want it to be flat and boring. I still feel like it ended up being flat and boring in the end. It's just, it was harder for me to imagine how the light would reflect off of the ground without it, I guess, looking like the flames are floating above it. I wanted them to be on the ground, and I don't know for sure if I captured that well enough, but the whole part of this is me just basically filling in the ground. And then I just, wasn't sure what I wanted to do for rocks or if I even wanted to add them, but I knew I needed texture. It was just going about it. I just really didn't know how to do it because I don't know how to do these types of pieces. So I just went with the flow as much as I could. And then I know the desert area doesn't really have much grass, but I added some little ploofs of grass along the fence, and they might be completely out of place and not really correct, but it is what it is. I just am overall content with how this piece ended up working out. I really didn't know what I was going to do with the sky. I kind of had the idea of making it completely black, but then I also really didn't know how else I was going to incorporate the towers of rock in the background and like the little mountains that they have in the Wild Wild West, the ones I'm talking about. So I ended up deciding to do a pink to purple sky, like a sunset kind of thing. And I feel like it contrasts really well. The issue, however, lies in the fact that my pink marker was about dead, and I really didn't have enough ink to support the coverage that I was going for. I ended up covering up the cloud because it wouldn't really make sense, so I decided to kind of use pink to add like cloud wispies instead of keeping like white fluffy clouds. And then I'm just adding gradients between the little mountains in the background, using the orange and the yellow to emphasize like a sunset. And overall, I just really feel like it contrasts really well with everything else going on in the piece. I added a little bit of yellow around the cowboy, just for some extra highlight. And then I'm just going in and making sure that everything is cleaned up around the character as much as I can. I ended up taking a lot of breaks in between this piece and also taking time to like really think about the colors that I was going to put down because I just didn't want to ruin it. I was really trying super hard with this one, and the last thing I wanted was to pour out all this ink and have it not work out because I had big plans for the picture, Making the potions, I think the only thing I don't like about the piece in the end is how the potions look, but I end up doing the mountains by doing just a solid black at the top and then using a dark brown to blend into it and then leaving a little bit of white and taking the sunset colors and adding it as like a rim light to the side of the mountains to make them pop out a little more. But I feel like the mountains are a really good contrast point in the piece, and I was able to capture like the distance with them quite well. I just didn't know how else I was going to do it. I ended up speeding up through this process a little bit more because it's basically just me filling in the black mountains and then blending out the brown part at the bottom. I feel like it's just kind of redundant and I don't really know what else to say. I'm gonna be honest with you. So this part was interesting because the marker is not, like, it's fast drying, but it's not as fast drying as my other Arrtx markers. So I wanted to make sure I didn't leave any black splotches anywhere. So I just had to be real careful with the dry time on this part, because the last thing I wanted was to leave an unnecessary mark all over the piece, and I was going to be really, really, really pissed if I did. So, you know, this part was tedious, but it was fine. It ended up looking good in the end, or at least I think it does. I think it looks okay. And then I'm just adding like little bits of grass at the bottom of the mountains, even though I don't even think there's grass in the desert. And then just trying to fill out like the little potion bottles. I think those are my least favorite part of the piece. I don't like how the potion bottles look at all, in fact, but it is what it is. I forgot what I was gonna say. So now I'm just going in and adding stars. I'm in the final stretch of the painting process, so I'm essentially just going in and adding stars, and then I go in and add the shine of the gun that the cowboy has. At least that's what I tried to incorporate it as. I have no idea if that even is like noticeable or if I was supposed to draw it differently, but you know, it is, I say this a lot, but it is what it is. I was just really going with the flow on this piece. And then now I'm just going in with a fine liner and refining some details. I had to get up and grab all of my other colors because I wanted to use the red for the skin tone. And then I decided that the red was too light. So I ended up going back over it with the purple anyways. So I just feel like the purple ended up working out a lot better to contrast with the rest of the piece. And it helped me also get the details better, like on her eyebrows and on her hair. I just feel like it just added more to the piece and allowed those smaller details to pop out a lot better. And then I added like the little details on her collar with the white, going in and refining the potions, and essentially that's like the end of the piece. Like I said, this is like my most dynamic piece I've ever done, especially with traditional. It was a huge jump for me artistically, and I honestly could not be happier with the result. I know that there's things that are wrong with this piece, anatomy wise or, you know, color theory wise, but for me personally, I'm proud of it and I'm happy with it. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it because like I said, this is a longer video than my norm. But you know, I appreciate you being here, and if you like my art, I appreciate you liking my art and being a part of this. So here is the final piece, and thank you so much for watching and for spending time with me while I drew this today. It was a lot of fun to work on. I spent about 8 hours on it in total. If you enjoy these types of videos and you're new here, I do invite you to subscribe. I have a Discord link down below where you can join and share your art and talk to other artists. And yeah, if you like the video, let me know down below what I should draw next. And yeah, have a good day. Bye-bye.